What's up, Celtics fans? Let's talk about the kind of game that leaves a bad taste in your mouth and makes you stare at the ceiling all night wondering, how did we let that one slip? Game 1 against the New York Knicks was supposed to be a statement. It was supposed to be a reminder of who's boss in the East. Instead, it turned into a basketball nightmare, a meltdown, collapse. Whatever word you want to use, it fits. Because Boston had this game in their hands. They were up by more than 20 points in the third quarter. Yes, you heard that right, 20 plus. But instead of closing the door, instead of stomping on a team they had already dominated earlier, this season, the Celtics let the Knicks claw their way back. And claw they did, dragging the game into overtime and stealing a win in front of a stunned crowd. Now let's be real here. Boston wasn't at full strength. Kristaps Porzingis, one of the key pieces in his Celtics roster, didn't play a single minute in the second half. That's a big deal. He's not just a scorer, he's a defensive anchor, a rim protector, and a mismatch nightmare for any team. His absence definitely hurt. But still, this was a game that Boston should have handled. With the depth, with the shooting, with the experience, there's no reason a 20-point lead should vanish like that. And now, just like that, the Celtics are down 0-1 in this best-of-7 playoff series. Let's talk about what went wrong. The second half was a disaster, plain and simple. The kind of half that makes you double-check the box score because you can't believe what you're seeing. Shots weren't falling. Defensive rotations were a step slow. Energy dropped. Momentum shifted. And once it did, it was like watching a slow-motion car crash. Boston kept launching threes and they kept rimming out. And the Knicks, they sensed the blood in the water. They got aggressive, they attacked the paint, they made hustle plays, and slowly but surely they chipped away at that massive lead until it was gone. By the time overtime came around, the Celtics looked like they were trying to hang on by a thread. And the Knicks, they looked like they wanted it more. It's crazy because this team, this Boston Celtics team, has been elite when it comes to shooting the three ball all season long. We're talking about a squad that averages over 17 made threes per game. They launch nearly 50 per night. And it's not just volume. They usually knock them down with confidence and rhythm. That's part of their identity. It's baked into the way they play. They space the floor, move the ball, and punish defenses that help too much. But none of that worked in game 1. The rhythm wasn't there. The confidence looked shaken. Even the wide open looks, those ones they usually hit in their sleep, weren't falling. And when that happens in a playoff game, especially one where you've already built a huge lead, it becomes a mental battle as much as a physical one. Doubt creeps in. You start to rush shots, you start pressing, and that's exactly what happened. Social. Media lit up. You know how it goes. NBA fans don't miss a beat when something dramatic happens. Memes were flying, reactions were everywhere. And of course, legends of the game had something to say. Magic Johnson, a guy who knows a thing or two about playoff pressure, gave his take on what he called an epic game 1. And really, for a neutral fan, it was epic. Comebacks, overtime, star players missing time, it had all the ingredients for a playoff classic. But if you're a Celtics fan, it didn't feel like a classic. It felt like a punch to the gut. After the game, Drew Holiday stepped up and gave some perspective on what happened. He didn't make excuses. He didn't point fingers. He kept it honest. Said it felt like a mix of things. That a lot of those shots the team usually hits, that they were good looks. Clean, wide open, especially off offensive rebounds, but they just didn't drop. And in the playoffs, sometimes that's the story. It's a make or miss league, and when you're missing that much, the pressure builds. But he made it clear, they're not going to stop shooting. They believe in the way they play, and they know the shots will eventually fall. That kind of mindset is what keeps a team from spiraling. Coach Joe Mazzulla also weighed in, and his take was pretty aligned with Holiday's. He said he was satisfied with the shot selection. Sure, he admitted you could always go back and find 5 or 10 possessions you'd want to improve, but overall, he felt the team generated quality opportunities. That's a coach sticking to the process. And honestly, in the playoffs, that matters. You can't afford to second-guess your whole system after one bad half. You stick with what got you here. Tweak where you need to and trust your guys to respond, and that's what it comes down to now. Response. There's no time for pity parties or finger pointing. Game 2 is right around the corner. The Celtics will once again face the Knicks at home, and this time, the pressure is even heavier. You can't go down 2-0 at home in a series. like this. That's how series start slipping away. Boston has to come out with fire, with urgency, with the kind of energy that reminds everyone why they were one of the best teams in the league all season. This is gut check time. This is where you find out what a team is really made of, because one game doesn't define a series, but it can shift the tone. It can steal confidence. And if the Celtics want to get back on track, it starts with intensity, shot making, and composure when the momentum swings. The talent is there, the coaching is there, the system is there, but none of that matters if the execution isn't. And now we look ahead, because this series is far from over. If anything, the loss in game one should serve as a wake-up call. The Celtics cannot afford to play with their food. This is the postseason. Every possession matters. Every missed rotation, every lazy closeout, every offensive rebound given up, it all adds up. You don't get the luxury of coasting, not when your opponent is hungry and motivated. And make no mistake, the Knicks are exactly that. They smelled weakness in game one and pounced. Now Boston needs to answer back, and not just with a win, but with a statement of their own. One of the big questions going into game two is the status of Kristaps Porzingis. If he's unavailable again, the Celtics will need to adjust fast. His absence doesn't just affect the scoring column. It changes the entire defensive game plan. Without him patrolling the paint, the Knicks found more room to operate inside. Drives were more effective, putbacks were easier, and spacing the floor on offense became harder for Boston without that 7'3" shooter drawing defenders out of the paint. That ripple effect is real, and it showed in the second half. If Porzingis can't suit up for game two, guys like Al Horford and Luke Kornet are going to need to step up in a big way. It's not just about minutes, it's about presence, physicality, communication. The kind of stuff that doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but makes a world of difference on the court. But the truth is, regardless of who's available, this Celtics team needs to get back to the basics. That means executing on both ends. That means controlling the glass, locking in on defense, making the extra pass, and playing with the kind of discipline that championship caliber teams are known for. The Celtics have the personnel. They've got guys who can switch across multiple positions, who can protect the rim, who can create their own shot and shoot the lights out when they're in rhythm. But none of that matters if it doesn't come together when it counts. Game one was a reminder that talent alone isn't enough. It's about poise. It's about timing. It's about being able to close the door when you have your foot on someone's neck. Let's also talk about the mental aspect of this, because comebacks like the one New York pulled off don't just take physical effort. They create psychological momentum. Now the Knicks believe they can hang with Boston. Now they believe that no lead is safe. That belief is powerful, and Boston needs to squash it quickly. If the Celtics come out flat again, if they hesitate, if they let New York smell blood again, things could snowball. That's why game two isn't just a must win, it's a tone setter for the rest of the series. Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, the leaders of this team, have to lead from the front. Tatum had moments in game one, but he also disappeared in key stretches. Brown was active, but the consistency wasn't there. These two are all-stars for a reason. When the offense stalls, when the shots stop falling, these are the guys who have to steady the ship. Get to the free throw line, attack mismatches, create for others. This is their time. No more waiting around for someone else to take over. No more stretches where the ball sticks or the offense goes cold. These two have been through the battles. They've seen the heartbreaks. They've been close before. Now is when they have to play like they've learned from every one of those moments. And let's not overlook Derek White. He's been a glue guy all season long. He makes plays that don't always get headlines, whether it's diving for loose balls, contesting shots without fouling, or hitting timely threes. If Boston is going to regain control of this series, it's going to be because of players like him bringing energy and doing the dirty work. He doesn't need to score 20 points. He needs to be the guy who makes the right read, who rotates on time, who brings that edge every possession. Then there's Drew Holiday. His veteran presence is crucial in games like these. He's been in big playoff battles. He's won on the biggest stage. His calmness, his ability to defend 1 through 3, and his leadership in the locker room are going to be vital. He needs to keep the guys locked in, especially when the shots aren't falling. Settle the team. Slow the pace when necessary. push the tempo when the defense is scrambling. Those are the little things that change the tide in a playoff series. Coach Joe, Mazzulla also has a big task ahead of him. Adjustments need to be made. That's part of playoff basketball. Every game is a chess match. What worked in the regular season doesn't always work in a 7-game war. He has to tweak the rotations, figure out who's giving productive minutes, and who's struggling. Maybe tighten the lineup, maybe give some unexpected minutes to someone off the bench who's been grinding in practice and is ready for the moment. That's the beauty of the playoffs. Every move matters. And let's be clear, the fans are watching. The TD Garden crowd is going to be loud, but they're also going to be expecting fire from the opening tip. That energy from the stands has to translate to energy on the floor. Because when the Celtics are locked in, when they're flying around on defense and knocking down shots, there are few teams in the league that can keep up. But when they're passive, when they settle for jumpers without movement, that's when trouble starts. The good news is this team has bounced back before. They've faced adversity. They've been in deep playoff series and know how to fight through tough stretches. But they also know that one loss can turn into two if they're not careful. Game 2 has to be played like a Game 7, with urgency, with hunger, with pride. This is about setting the tone, not just for this series, but for the entire playoff run. You cannot let the Knicks walk out of Boston up 2-0. That's how underdogs build belief. That's how upsets start to feel possible. The Celtics need to crush that belief right now. Remind the league who they are. Remind the Knicks why they were the lower seed. Remind everyone that the green and white still run deep in the East. From here on out, every game is going to be a test of strategy, a test of grit, a test of heart. And Boston, if they're serious about bringing a title back to the city, has to treat every minute, every possession like it could be the difference between going home early or hoisting the trophy in June. Because make no mistake, this roster has what it takes. They have the firepower, they have the defense, they have the experience. What they need now is focus, ruthless, laser-sharp focus. That's what separates contenders from pretenders. That's what wins in May and June. So here we go. Game 2 is coming, and all eyes are on Boston. Will they rise? Will they respond? Will they bring the fight that the playoffs demand? We're about to find out. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Jalen Brunson, the standout player for the New York Knicks, recently sparked controversy with his outspoken comments about the Boston Celtics, a rival team in the NBA's Eastern Conference. In a candid interview, Brunson didn't hold back when discussing the Celtics, expressing his frustrations with their style of play and their approach to the game. These remarks have already sent ripples through the basketball community, particularly among Celtics fans, who are known for their passionate support of the team. Brunson, who has been a key figure in the Knicks' recent success, pointed out what he perceives as the Celtics' tendency to play with an air of arrogance, which he believes sometimes crosses the line into unsportsmanlike behavior. He criticized the Celtics' emphasis on showmanship and flair, which he feels detracts from the essence of the game, focusing more on flashy moves and less on fundamental basketball. I respect their talent, but there's a way to play the game with humility, Brunson stated, clearly highlighting his preference for a more grounded, team-first mentality. The Celtics, who have been a dominant force in the Eastern Conference, for the past few seasons have built a reputation for their tough competitive play and their resilience on the court. However, this reputation has also made them a target for criticism, particularly from players on rival teams. For Brunson, the Celtics represent everything he dislikes about a team that gets too caught up in the drama and spectacle of the game, rather than focusing solely on what happens between the lines. The rivalry between the Knicks and Celtics is one of the oldest in the NBA, and comments like these only add fuel to the fire. Both teams have storied histories and passionate fan bases, and any confrontation between them is always bound to be intense. The Celtics, known for their deep playoff runs and championship pedigree, will undoubtedly use Brunson's words as motivation when the two teams meet again on the court. Brunson, however, made it clear that his words weren't meant as a personal attack on the players themselves, but rather on the culture surrounding the team. I've got respect for the guys on their roster, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I like the way they play the game, he added. His honesty has earned him both praise and criticism, with some applauding his candidness while others believe he crossed the line in questioning the Celtics' approach. As the Knicks prepare for their upcoming games, it's clear that the rivalry with the Celtics will be at the forefront of their minds, with Brunson's words adding another layer of intensity to an already fierce matchup. The next encounter between these two teams is set to be a must-watch event. Whether or not Brunson's comments will have any impact on the outcome remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the rivalry between the Knicks and Celtics is alive and well, and Brunson's remarks have only added to the drama. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.